Rico, let me ask you this. Do you think that trained sports managers are actually required in our country? And what are your views on that?
Arijit, this is something I've discussed with you before. For the simple reason is, I've been doing a lot of commentary, working with the top tennis events that take place in India. And what I found was that they were being run by Indian companies, but with foreign managers. The head of the various departments of that program were always guys hired from England or from Australia and from New Zealand, and they sort of put their team together. And I think that is where I think the very much required window right now is for Indian managers, for Indians to step up. And a lot of our Indian kids were actually studying abroad and then returning to India and joining various sports related franchises and associations. So I think this is a great opportunity, I think, for our young people. There's a great opportunity there. Sports managers are desperately needed. There's a major growth in this field in our country. And I think post-COVID, it will really explode, because at the end of the day, don't forget, we've all been cooped up, all locked up for so many months now. I'm sure the young people are now reaching they're reaching the end of it. They want to get out. They want to get out in the open. And what better chance, like you always said, if you transpire to be a sportsman, you've always dreamt of playing sport at a higher level, maybe this is the time to get involved as a sports manager. That would be a great career path going forward. Very good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to CS&MS platform for introducing sports management courses in Mysore. I'm happy to welcome my partner and my visionary, Wing Commander Arijit Ghosh, and our very dear friend YSD Karai from my hometown in Kolkata. YSD being a sports enthusiast, a tennis player like you, Arijit.
Great.
Who doesn't pass a day without playing tennis. And I mean, if he doesn't get to play tennis, it's a very depressing day for Mr. Karai. So a warm welcome to both of you.
Same here as well. I've not played for the last 6 months now, actually.
I feel sorry for Lipika. You must be climbing the walls. But anyway, so I'll just introduce what we intend doing this afternoon is basically try and put in perspective the concept of sports management courses, which we've been running for the last 3 years in Mysore, and how we intend going forward with what we do. And of course, our vision, how we started up, and exactly how we are going to take this forward. So for a start, let me just say that it was the idea of Wing Commander Arijit Ghosh and Enrico Piperno over a cup of tea when I used to visit Bangalore, when Arijit was the boss of this Jain International School, where they ran a fabulous sports program, which I was part of, running the tennis for them at that time. Wing Commander Arijit Ghosh and myself were very keen on looking at something different for India. And we came up with the concept since the IPL started, this exponential growth of franchises, clubs, and various other sporting activities that really started to take off in our country. And as we thought that it was a great idea to get involved with the business of sport, educate young people to participate in sort of life-old cherished dreams of having to not playing for the country or playing for your state or playing for your club, but actually getting on board and being part of this huge generation of sports managers, which are now growing really, really fast across the length and breadth of India. So that was the idea of what our plans were. We sort of mulled over it for a while, looked at a lot of stuff on the internet, and we realized that there weren't any sports management programs really available in India as such at that time. So what Arijit really did was that he buckled down and he got down to actually looking at the possibilities of putting a syllabus in place. And once that was done, we went with our idea to certain institutions around South India. Fortunately for us, SDMIMD, led by at that time by Dr. Gayatri, the dean, was very sort of supportive. She was very keen that we do something with them, and they gave us the platform to get our program started. Since then, we've run 3 very successful batches out of the SDMIMD in Mysore, and which I'm happy to say we almost had 100% placement on all the graduates graduating from our program. And a lot of them now are employed with various institutes and institutions around the country, franchises, academies, and various other retail brands, which are now hiring graduates from our sports management programs. So far, so good. Unfortunately, Arijit and I did not know that COVID was coming. and that sort of set us back. But from that point of view, when something like this happens, there's always a silver lining, I believe. And so St. Philomena's University stepped forward and in Mysore again, and they were very, very keen on working together with us. And we're happy to announce an MOU that we signed with them of late, where we run various programs in partnership with CSNMS, of which Wing Commander Arijit Ghosh will go more into detail as we progress through this talk. So with that in mind, I'll hand this over now to Wing Commander Arijit Ghosh and Yezdi Karai. Let them discuss the business of sport. Let them discuss the syllabuses that we're going to offer, the courses that we're going to offer, and all that we look forward to in the next year and years ahead in Mysore with St. Philomena. So over to you, Arijit.
Yeah, thanks, Rico. Just to pick up from what Enrico Piperno said, and for all of you who are not familiar with Rico, he's been a national champion many times over. Tennis champion, has coached the Indian Davis Cup team for many, many years, and then worked with the ladies as well in the Fed Cup. So he's coached the likes of Mesh Bhupati and Leander Paes when they were playing together and winning titles. He's coached Sania Mirza, and he's worked with a host of other young tennis players and shaped their careers and their lives as well. So Rico has been a great part of Indian tennis for a very long time, as a player, as a coach, as a mentor. And I have had a little bit of good fortune in playing sport at a fairly decent level myself. I used to play cricket. I played Ranji Trophy for many years. And so together we thought about, putting together a course which would help young people of this country to get into the sporting environment, even if they were not necessarily talented enough to play at Wimbledon or play for India or in the IPL or something like that. Because that is what sports management is all about. It is basically the business side of sports. And anyone who has interest because basically the sports industry worldwide is a $756 billion US dollar university industry. And there's plenty of room and plenty of opportunities for anyone who has an interest and a desire to get into that industry. So that's where we started. And we thought that it would be an extremely exciting option, career option for many, many young students who could not necessarily pursue sports at a high level for whatever reason. So that's where our idea of starting this came from. And as Rico mentioned, we started off in Mysore with SDMIMD, and from there we've carried on slowly to other institutions as well. And right now we are looking at the chances of taking this course online onto an online platform, working with Global TV, which is a platform, an online platform, which is owned by a mutual friend of ours, Mr. Paul. Along with the classroom courses that we are trying to run at St. Philomena's in Mysore, we would also be looking at running these online courses along with Global TV, which we think is a great idea because in this situation where the pandemic has literally closed down the world, the online space is the in thing as of now. And so we thought that we must give students, young students, an opportunity to understand what sports management is all about and how we need to carry it forward from there. Yezdi comes from a corporate background and he has many years of experience leading corporate teams and businesses.
The subject I'd like to address is how is sports management different from corporate management? And do you need a different skill set to be a sports management professional? And the answer to that is that sports organizations require similar models of financial, operational, and market outreach as any other business. Retailing, branding, merchandising is a requirement in any business, and so too it is in sports management. In addition to that, sports management has a couple of unique aspects. I could study finance and relate that to corporate activity, but being a finance professional in sports management could be somewhat different. You actually have to be a sports economist to understand, for instance, how does a franchise make money? How does it earn revenues? How does it meet its costs? How does it create brand value? So, to some extent, the skills are similar, but the application of the skills is different. And that is why you need a very specific sports management focused curriculum. So, that's one side of it. The other side of it is that where sports management is different from corporate management. So let's assume that I'm a new graduate and I've been hired by a franchise. Now I've had my basic training, qualification, I've done my studies, etc. So what is different in sports management, unlike in the corporate world? You have customers on the supply side and customers, the people who actually contribute funding. They are your customers. You've got to keep them happy too. They're not suppliers in the traditional sense in a corporate where I put a purchase order out and you supply me and I don't like the stuff, I send it back, right? Your supply in sports management is different. It's very network oriented. It's almost like a different phase. Or, you have a customer facing on both sides. And then you've got the demand side. Who's on the demand side? The demand side has three layers to it. First of all, it's the management of the organization. They are basically your customers as an individual. You've got to meet their needs. Then there are the people who are actually delivering on the field. They are customers too. So for instance, if I'm charged with the responsibility of moving a team from the airport to a hotel and making sure they're out at Eden Gardens to practice at 9 o'clock. They are my customers. I got to look at them like my customers and not like I'm doing some kind of a desk job or whatever. Then the other layer is the fans. So when I get into merchandising, okay, I need to understand the customer base that will go for merchandising. So this is where there is a huge difference in my view on how sports management differs from corporate management. But there is a baseline of skills that is very similar and a baseline of skills that are portable across from a corporate to a sports management business.
Yeah, so Rico, let me ask you this. Do you think that trained sports managers are actually required in our country? And what are your views on that?
Arijit, this is something I've discussed with you before. For the simple reason is, I've been doing a lot of commentary, working with the top tennis events that take place in India. And what I found was that they were being run by Indian companies, but with foreign managers. The head of the various departments of that program were always guys hired from England or from Australia and from New Zealand, and they sort of put their team together. And I think that is where the very much required window right now is for Indian managers, for Indians to step up. And a lot of our Indian kids were actually studying abroad and then returning to India and joining various sports related franchises and associations. So I think this is a great opportunity, I think, for our young people. There's a great opportunity there. Sports managers are desperately needed. There's a major growth in this field in our country. And I think post-COVID, it will really explode, because at the end of the day, don't forget, we've all been cooped up, all locked up for so many months now. I'm sure the young people are now reaching the end of it. They want to get out. They want to get out in the open. And what better chance, like you always said, if you transpire to be a sportsman, you've always dreamt of playing sport at a higher level, maybe this is the time to get involved as a sports manager. That would be a great career path going forward.